حضرت امام حسین علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام بلندتر صلوات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد سببا لزيادة إحسانه وسبيلا إلى رحمته وجنانه، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، أرواحنا له فداء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in His glorious Quran, I swear by the time, wal asr, mankind is at loss, inna al-insana lafi khusr. So, except for those who have faith, illa alladhina amanu, and do righteous deeds, wa amilu salihat, and those who call towards truth, wa tawasaw bil haqq, and calls towards patience, wa tawasaw bis sabr. This verse, this chapter of Quran, it outlines the mission of Imam Husain alayhi salatu wasalam. In the Quran, the creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, He swears by the time, He who is the master of time, the creator of time. And after He swears by the time, He explains the condition of man, the condition of humanity, that the state of humanity is at loss. And why is the state of humanity at loss? It's not just in general that the humanity is at loss, but the state of humanity is at loss when faith, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has fallen to the wayside, and righteousness has fallen to the wayside. He says all of mankind is at loss except for those who believe, those who have faith, and those who do good deeds, those who do righteousness. So that which saves mankind from loss and destruction and chaos and oppression and tyranny is faith and action upon that faith. If one does not observe or takes religion, takes the guidance of the prophets, from the time of the Prophet Adam to the Prophet Noah, Ibrahim, Moses, Jesus, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if these great figures and what they have taught to humanity falls by the wayside, faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala no longer becomes a criterion of our actions, it would lead mankind into loss, lead mankind into oppression and tyranny. The son of Imam Husain, Ali Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, he wrote one of the first, or perhaps the first treatise of rights. It's called Risalatul Hukuk, the rights human rights. And that treatise on human rights, it begins first and foremost with the rights of God. That by observing God's rights upon us, that He has guided us, He has sent messengers, He sent His prophets, He has sent His devoted servants to uphold justice, to uphold truth, to uphold kindness among mankind. And if that right is the right that is left, meaning that we throw religion to the side, we throw the teachings of the prophets to the side, it brings about a loss among mankind and corruption among mankind. And the only way to safeguard from this corruption, oppression, and tyranny is to hold fast to the teachings of the prophets. And not only just claim faith in that, but act upon it. Those who believe and those who act upon their faith. And action upon faith, as we see in the lives of all of the prophets, it calls for standing up for justice, standing against injustice and oppression, calling for truth, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. And this was the mission of Imam Husain, that he stood up for truth, he stood up for justice. In a time when religion, when the teachings of the Prophet, when the values of belief in God was being thrown to the wayside, was not being observed. So Imam Husain, he stood up to fight against oppression. And subhanAllah, if we see that, look at Karbala, this one day that began with the call to prayer. It began with Allahu Akbar, that Allah, God is greater in everything. And it ended with the prostration of Imam Husain on the plains of Karbala. The prostration that also ended with his life. The prostration that also ended with him being beheaded. But in between that call to prayer, call to devotion, to religion, and that prostration, Imam Husain, he fought against oppression, the oppression of Yazid and his army. And we saw that at one point in Karbala, all of the companions of Imam Husain had been martyred. His close companions, also very righteous and spiritual people. His family had been martyred. And all to fight against oppression. Because the oppression that when had reached to a point, the disobedience of God came to such a point during the time of Imam Husain that even a 6-month-old baby was not even spared. His life was taken. And after that event, Imam Husain, he went forth to the river of Euphrates just to take a drink of water, because he was thirsty for 3 days. And when he went forth to drink some water, then the tyrants, they began to attack his tents. A tent full of women and children with no men to protect them. They had all died. Imam Husain, he spoke out. He says, don't you have shame? That at least if you're fighting against me, come and you fight with me. Do not fight helpless women and children who have no one to protect them. Imam Husain, he came out onto the battlefield knowing that this would be his last stance against oppression, that he will soon be martyred like his companions, like his brother Abbas, his son Ali Akbar, his son Ali Asghar. He came forth saying, Al-Maut awla min rukub al-ari, that for me death is better than shame. Wal-aru awla min dukhul al-nari, and a little shame is better than entering the fire. But you see that when one oppresses another, this is against the teachings of all of the prophets. Al-Maut awla min rukub al-ari, wal-aru awla min dukhul al-nari. Imam Husain, he went forth onto the battlefield, stating that who he was and what his mission was. He says, Ana Husain ibn Ali, uhami ala ahl bayt al-Nabi, that I am Husain, the son of Ali, the grandson of the Prophet, and I protect the household of the Prophet. Imam Husain, he went forth thirsty and tired from not drinking. As he's fighting the enemies, he kills tons of enemies, tons of oppressors. But how much can one man who's hungry, who's thirsty, how much can he fight? And they began to shoot arrows at Imam Husain, to the point they said that his body was filled with arrows, and he fell off of his horse, that his body was shot with so many arrows that when he fell upon the plains of Karbala, that his body did not touch the ground. Imam Husain's sister was looking on from the tents, seeing what was happening to her brother Husain, and she called out, Hal min Muslimin, is there anyone who is Muslim among you? Anyone who submits to God, that they will help my brother? They see him oppressed? And then the narration said the only response to the call of Zainab was from Imam Husain himself. He says, no, I'm a Muslim. I am one who submits to God. على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. السلام عليك يا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. That I give my salams upon Hussein every day. And oh Allah, do not make this my last time to give salams to your servant Imam Hussein. As-salamu ala al-Hussein wa ala Ali ibn Husayn. And we give salams to Ali, the son of Hussein. But you see, in Karbala, Imam Hussein had 3 sons by the name of Ali. Ali Akbar, who was martyred in Karbala. Ali Asghar, who was martyred in Karbala. And Ali Zain al-Abidin, who was sick and ill in Karbala. And he too eventually was martyred. As-salamu ala al-Husayn. وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.